Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review, and we are taking a look at, finally, the Wave 1 Siege figures. We're starting off, it's going to be a combo review of the Battlemasters and Micromasters. And starting everything off is Autobot Fire Drive, which is basically Target Master Hot Rod's partner. Yeah, they basically released a Hot Rod's Target Master partner 2 lines after we had Headmaster Hot Rod, and 1 line after we had that Evolution Hot Rod to Rodimus Prime. This is not a re-release of the Takara Target Master, which was done in their Legends line. This is an all-new mold. I think it actually does some things a lot better than that Takara release, but at least that Takara release was released with Hot Rod at the same time, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, as you can see, the figure's basically white, with a little black and red detailing, just like so. It does come with these 2 blast effects. We'll get into those in a minute. Articulation, and this is basically it for the humanoidish Battlemasters, is ball joints in the arms, ball joints in the legs. There is no knees or elbows like on the Takara Target Masters. Transformation, you want to go peg the legs together like that. Real quick, I should also show that this back section is removable. Some of them it comes attached, some of them it doesn't. There is a peg, and it can peg into the arm, so the robot will have a weapon. These come on and off a lot easier than the, if you remember, the Prime Master Pretender Armor weapons, so I don't feel like stressing the plastic, but you want to go ahead and flip this up so it's covering the head. Then you want to come behind, and it's a double joint, so you're going to flip it forward like that. It's going to flip at the abs, and then it will fold at the legs. And what's nice is there are slots right there in the barrel that will have tabs that will on the tips of the feet, so that will peg in. And then this is something I wish was on the Takara ones. There are little tabs on the inside of the robot arms that will just peg in to slots on the hips. And there you have Fire Drive in its blaster mode. You can, of course, attach these little blast effects. Basically, see that little nub? Anything with that little nub can handle the blast effects, depending on, the obvious differences in molding, paint. My side swipe, none of the blast effects can actually peg onto it, but there you go. I like this. It took them a while to get here. They started all the way back with, I think, Marvel Universe figures coming with, the 4-inch ones coming with the blast effects, then the Marvel Legends, and now here we are with Transformers. And I even think Star Wars is starting to do it. So that is very nice. Great little figure. So we'll pause, and we'll take a look at Blowpipe. And here's Blowpipe. Blowpipe was the Target Master partner of, the Decepticon. I can't think of its name. Oh, God, I just went right out of my mind. But again, it was the same one where the figure was released in Titan's Return, but then Takara did it in the Legends line and included a Target Master there. So, yeah. But, nice shade of blue, sky blue, same articulation as Fire Drive, and you can also pop this off if you wanted to have a handheld weapon for the robot. But transformation, flip that head up, that barrel up, flip up the peg the legs together. Now we're going to come along the behind. Just little note that when you're going back into robot mode, there is a little tab and notch there for this to sort of peg into, just like that. Snaps right in. Just something I should mention. Again, bend at the abs, then over. There are tabs here that will lock everything down and in. and then bring the arms back and peg them into the hips. So there's blowpipe in its weapons mode. Its fire blast effect is actually really cool because it's also 2 pieces. It comes in 1 piece, but they do show it in the instructions. Basically what you do is you just pop this piece out and you do have this effect. Now, this does not fit alone on the little nubs there. I mean, this works fine, and you can use it as a standalone shot. But this you might want to try, this flare out, you might want to try combining with other blast effects. And then it just kind of soft clicks back in, and then just peg it on. And these are soft rubber. I do notice that sometimes they do not so much warp, but they will sit at crooked on the peg. Just like that. Like so. I want to maybe rotate it so it looks a little straight. But there you go. There's blowpipe. Very nice little blast effect. So let's move on and take a look at Lionizer. Alright, and here's a Lionizer, Autobot Lionizer. I guess you can say it is a new character. It is based on, I believe, a Action Master partner from back in the day, but it is nice that, unlike Power of the Primes, they are going to mix up melee and blaster-based weapons between the Autobots and Decepticons. So, for Transform, there is a handle here. It's one of those things, like, this really doesn't come out easily. I've tried. I'm afraid to force it. So I don't know if the blade part is removable, but you can just transform it, flip it around. It will soft tab into place. Next, what you want to do is flip these legs, front legs up, out of the way. Flip the back legs. You know what? I think up, and then basically, then you drop it. There is a tab on the front paw which will slot in to the back hip, and if I'm not mistaken, that's actually really nice because it helps hold things into place. And we just do the same here. Bring it in, just like that. There is also up front, there's like a groove and a slot for the back leg that, it's basically for it to sit in, so you have it lined up properly. That is really nice. Next, what you want to do is bring the head around. That will soft tab into place. And there you have the sword mode. It too has a little blast effect, but it's more like a slashing motion. You see the 2 connection points there, and that little bar. It lines up with some holes on this. Keep that bar in mind for a little later on in the review. I got something really cool to show you that I don't think other people have caught. There is also a little nub there at the tip that I think you can fit the other. No, it's a little too small, so can't fit the other blast effects, but I do like how it has that like swooshing motion. That is really cool. So that's it for the Battlemasters. We'll move on and take a look at the Micromasters. And we're starting off with what unfortunately is the weakest set of the Wave 1 Micromasters. This is the Race Car Patrol, Road Handler, which is in red, and Swindler, which is the gray and blue figure. I should mention, the Battlemasters will take up what was the Prime Master price point, whereas the Micromasters are going to take over what was the Legends price point. I guess the amount of plastic or whatever, however that works out. This is really nostalgic for me because I actually had the, and I still do have the Micromasters that are actually featured in Wave 1, but if you remember, they were a set of 4. Hasbro has unfortunately already said it's only going to be packs of 2. We will not get the rest of the teams down the line. Start off for transformation with Swindler. He does transform into a sort of DeLorean. Unfortunately, the problems with Swindler have to do with the fact that he has these long shoulder pads and the arms just don't come out far enough for anything to move around and give him space. I think, if they would have focused less on including ball joints for articulation and just focusing on a solid transformation that allows things to move, I think it would have been a better figure. On the back here, real quick mention is when you first get the figure, the hood is actually folded all the way back, but you want to have it accordion. I'm trying to show you how to do that. Or it's actually really kind of tricky to do. I don't even know how they did it. But anyway, it's accordions up, so you want to bring that up, and then it will tab into place through the arms there. And then with the legs, they'll sort of peg together, but the way they're going to hold into place really is when you fold them up, you'll peg them all in, and yep, there you have a little Micromaster DeLorean. God, it makes me want to dig out all my old Micromaster bases. Swindler, it rolls fairly nicely. And now here we have Road Handler. Bring the arms down. Basically, there are bowl joints in the arms, bowl joints in the hips, all that stuff. Just do it like that. There's little tabs that will peg into the side. Bring the front up and around. That will snap into place, or little hooks there. The legs do peg together a little bit easier, which makes for an easier transformation. And you do, go ahead and rip off his arm like that. I don't know why that happened, and there you go, peg it back on. Sorry about that, folks. And this is like a Trans Am or a Porsche. I don't remember what car he originally turned into. Swindler, I remember, is the DeLorean, as everybody remembers the DeLorean, because this was the only transforming DeLorean, and it was nice that Hasbro worked that in. But these guys do actually combine into weapons. This is the gimmick for the Micromasters. Yeah. First thing you want to do is come under the hood of Swindler. There's a little peg there. Flip it out. Flip the legs back out like so. And if you notice, I had him rotated at the waist. The waist does rotate. Part of the problem with this is, like, as I mentioned, the legs really don't peg together that well. That's probably just an issue of mine. You can also, I've seen people use them as individual weapons, but you'll notice that Road Handler has a peg under its hood that actually is a little bit longer, so that is really meant to be the main weapon peg. As you can see, it sticks out a little further. This one, you just want to go ahead and, well, actually, no, I'm sorry, I was wrong. A Swindler has the, even though Road Handler has the longer peg, Swindler is how it's going to hold the, how the larger figures will hold it. Road Handler has longer peg because it has to peg into it. So basically, you'll turn Road Handler over like this, and there's a hole in the chest there, and you'll just drop Swindler down. There is some grooves and what have you, because also now you got to position the legs using the knees to sit upright, that it's facing forward, and there are some grooves and stuff like that. And yeah, basically this is the weapon mode. It looks like two cars just doing stuff, and yeah, no. Now what is kind of cool, you do have the little nubs at the end, so you can peg in blast effects, and that kind of helps, but at the same time, it just really doesn't. I'll just tell you right now, the Decepticon set, that one holds together the best in weapon mode. We're going to take a look at that in a second, but yeah, this is just not good, really a mess. And I mean, I would just keep them as separate, like cars and robots. So, yep, enough for that. Let's pause, and as I mentioned, we're going to take a look at Stormcloud and Visper the Decepticon Airstrike Patrol. Okay, and here's the Decepticon Airstrike Patrol. This is Visper, and that's Stormcloud. Had these guys back in the day, and again, the original molds were repainted with different sets and stuff, so you actually might have the original molds, but not as these characters. Really cool. I do like the Jets. That's why I'm really disappointed that we're not going to get the other two members of each team, because that would have been nice to have all four of the Jets. We'll start off with Stormcloud. Again, ball joints in the hips and legs. And also, he does have knees. That's something that they added in, which, as you'll see in a moment, is not really part of the transformation. First thing you want to do is fold down the feet. Next, what you want to do is come along the back here. This is the nose cone there is accordioned up, so you want to accordion it down, and then the make sure it sits flat. So you might get the wings out of the way. There you go. Fold the wings out. That will help peg everything in, hold it in place. And then the arms here have little tabs which will peg in under the wings, just like that. And then the final touch, flip the head down, back into the rear fuselage, and you get that little peg port thing flipping out. And what's nice is that is, again, the nub there, so you can have a little blast effect as if he's flying off. So, yeah, that is cool. And here's Stormcloud, and right off the bat, Stormcloud on the fists, which are also going to be its boosters in the vehicle mode, spoilers, can do the same thing. That's really cool. I mean, this reason I'm starting off with, like, the Battlemasters and Micromasters, they are the crux of this play pattern with this combat play system. And finally, Hasbro's come out with a cross play pattern that's actually fun and works. I just needed to stop there and just say that. Transformation, you want to bring these wings out, and then you're going to fold the arms up and around, like so. Basically, you want to fold them backwards so that little tab that's on the forearm is parallel with that tab under the wing, just like that. And now to combine everything together, bring the legs up and around, bend it at the knee. There's a tab that on the leg that will peg into the a slot on the forearm, and then there's a slot on the leg that will go into the tab on the wing, just like that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just gotta make sure everything's lined up. The legs will sit a little akimbo like that, like angled, but the wings are flush. That looks fine. I think it's how it's all going to go together. And then finally, bring the nose cone down and forward, and there you have Stormcloud in its vehicle mode. Again, you can well, actually there's a hole there, and no, it's unfortunately too big. But you do have, like I said, the little pegs there, so if you get a double one, you can fly it off. Oh, and there's even on the wings. So this guy's really got some action stuff going on. Unfortunately, as of right now, because Siege is going to be a one-year line to make way for the next wave of War for Cybertron, I don't see Hasbro taking the opportunity to just release a pack of these blast effects. That would be cool, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. Now, to combine these guys into weapon mode, you do nothing with Visper. I mean, some people will leave the head actually down for vehicle mode. But the instructions do say flip it up. That's the peg there that you're going to connect. What you want to do with Stormcloud is flip this back up. As you see, you're revealing the handle that the larger robots can grip. And then you want to line everything up, peg it in, and you'll see something really cool. And that's basically Make sure everything's lined up. Crooked. There are extensions on Visper's wings, which will go into slots on Stormcloud, and that will help hold everything together. And basically, this figure is doing, was it Dreadwing and Darkwing? This is doing Dreadwing better than the Power of the Primes deluxe figures did. I mean, this is much more secure and stuff like that. So, yep, this is supposed to be a combined sword mode. I know it looks a little weak, but there is something that can help. Let me grab the blast effect from Lionizer. Remember I mentioned that little slot section? Well, if you look on the inside of the legs of Visper, there is that little tab. And I noticed that you can just plug it on, and yep, you have a motion effect for this sword mode, and that really does help bring it home that this is a sword. You know, it still looks very awkward, but I'm just happy that it comes together so well, and the fact that they did have the foresight to work that blast effect in, the little tab to attach the blast effect is really cool. So, yep, that's something that's fun. So we'll pause and we'll take a look at the final Micromaster team that we have, and they're my personal favorites, the Autobot Battle Patrol. Okay, so here's the Autobot Battle Patrol, and we have Top Shot and Flak, and if there's one team that I'm disappointed they are not going to finish, it's this one, because there was a jet that was an A-10 Warthog, and I think there was another vehicle that looked like, I mean, I have this original set, and these are my favorites. It's a, looks sort of like the G.I. Joe APC carrier, but anyway, these guys do have ball joints. Flak, I do want to mention, you can see their little fingertips molded into the edge of the treads, so he does have somewhat real hands. Top Shot, unfortunately, is a little loose in the hips. Does have the molded in hands, but also there was a little bit of an error in assembly. Its head was glued in, attached, like crooked. So, yeah, I mean, that's a little disappointing to say the least. But for transformation, we'll start with Flak. Do peg the legs together. And unfortunately, you know, I do want to mention again, the fact that these Micromasters use ball joints does make the transformation at times a little tricky to make sure everything's lined up. Flip his head back. The arms will tab into the side there. Flip this back section down, and then bend at the knees, then bend backwards at the hips. You see these extended teethed sections. There's little grooves there in the gray. That'll just sit in. And there's Flak. These front missile batteries, the central sections, do hold the blast effects. This will be the barrel in their combined weapon mode. Unfortunately, the paint is a little thick, so the blast effects do have a tendency to pop out. Top Shot, a little bit more involved transformation. You want to come in, fold these little gray panels down. Next, what you can do is come in, bring the arms up. They will peg into the sides there. Now, you have to bend the knees backwards, and these gray slots are supposed to slide in underneath this barrel. A couple of reviewers have already pointed out that you can actually just rotate this turret all the way out of the way, and that will give you make it much easier and give you the clearance to come in and close everything up and just fold it in, and then rotate the barrel back around. Make sure everything's lined up, because, you know, the ball joints do, sometimes the hips will sit up a little higher. And, of course, right there on the tip, he has a little peg for the blast effect. So, obviously, this is one of those teams that would really make use out of those blast effects. Now, to get into the combined weapon mode, start with flak, straighten the legs out. The knees do snap into place. Fold up this front section. Back, basically going into robot mode, but then you want to come in and flip out that peg, just like so. Put them off to the side. Top shot, we're going to do a little bit more work with. Fold that barrel straight up. Rotate this around just to get the be able to get these legs out of the way. And you want to bend the knees slightly because you're going to rotate all this around. Now the arms, kind of tricky. You're gonna peg them slightly. I'm going to show you what you're going to do. But next, what you want to do is fold the legs back up. They will sit into the grooves on this chest, and then there's extended bits that will sort of peg, but really just hold into place there. Just, it'll tab and not tab. I think, you guys know what I mean when it's like it'll just hold the pegs. I mean, make sure the legs are pegged together. That helps with everything. And next, what you're going to do, there's a hole there in the back of the turret for that gray slot, and then peg it in. And then this is the weird part. You got to adjust the arms on Top Shot. They sit into grooves in flak, but not well. And I think once you have everything situated, I mean, of course, it's tough to do on camera. But it does sort of help with the combination of everything. Just, getting it in. It's weird. But for better or worse, that's the weapon mode. This should sit up more. It's like, yeah, make sure that it's pegged in, and then the grooves will just, it'll just those protruding sections and just straighten them out. And there we go. And yeah, there we go. Yeah, hopefully that was all on camera. But yeah, no, the Micromasters don't make great weapons, but this is really the best looking of it because it's the most cohesive. And you have a nice grip there. And like I mentioned, you can put the blast effects in just like that. You do got to be careful because sometimes they want to sit a little higher. But yeah, like I said, this really hits my nostalgia button just because I had the Micromasters as a kid and they're really fun to play with. And it's nice to see that Hasbro hasn't forgotten them and are bringing them back. I know for a lot of collectors, they were tired of the old Season 1, Season 2 robots. So it's nice to have these guys back. So we'll pause, and I'll give you my final thoughts. So, as I said, during the review, I think it's fantastic that Hasbro has finally found a cross-play pattern with this combat system that actually works and is engaging across the whole line, from what would be the Legion class up to the Legend class, Deluxe, Voyager, Leader. This all works. If you're going to start off with something, definitely I think the Battlemasters are the way to go. They are the cheapest price point, but they do come with those blast effects, which are, as you've seen, cross-compatible. You can put them on the Deluxe, Voyagers, what have you. The Micromasters, the figures are good. The vehicle modes are good. The combined weapon modes are just a little off. They just really just look like vehicles crashing together. So, I mean, I wouldn't buy them for the weapons aspect of it all. But yeah, this is something where you get one deluxe figure and you buy a couple Battlemasters, you can have a lot of fun. And, and I've been doing that. So that's probably also why this review is a little bit longer to come than others. Just, it took me a while because I was just having so much fun fiddling with these, trying, stuff out. As of right now, in terms of how to get your hands on these, I have heard that some of the Siege figures, the Battlemasters, and maybe some of the Micromasters are showing up in Targets in the mid to out west. The Voyagers and the Luxes are actually, as well as the Battlemasters and Micromasters, are actually showing up from, and this is how we first found them, on West Coast comic and collectible stores. So they're going to have them, but they're going to have them at a major premium price. So you might want to hold off on going after them until they show up more they expand to more mainstream retail. Amazon doesn't have them yet as shipped and sold by Amazon. That might change. I think sometime next week was supposed to be the official street date in terms of like the November 26, 2018, for those of you watching in the future. Might even be closer to the beginning of December. But yeah, these are a lot of fun. I'm really happy with this combat play pattern, and I'm looking forward to see what we're going to get from Wave 2 and 3 in the future. So, this is your old pal Chuck for the Battlemasters and Micromasters, as I knock one of them over. The poor combat team. We will see you next time.